This week on This is America and the World, we begin a two-part conversation with the Ambassador of the Republic of Sierra Leone to the United States, Sidique Abou-Bakarr Wai. Educated at Fordham University and New York University, Ambassador Wai spent more than 20 years in service in New York City as former Deputy Director at New York University's Institute of African American Affairs, Community Affairs Analyst and Advisor to New York City's Police Department, and President of the United African Congress. Mr. Ambassador, it's so good to sit with you this afternoon. Thank you for your hospitality.
And thank you very much for coming to Sierra Leone. And we welcome you to our country, and I'm happy to receive you here, just like you received us in your great institution. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yes.
When we are in an embassy,
Yes.
we are in that country.
Of course. And what I think, perhaps for your viewers to know, this embassy is Sierra Leone. So when you come here, you are in Sierra Leone.
Yes.
So Sierra Leone welcomes you in the United States.
Other than your office,
Yes.
and thank you for allowing us to use your office, give a broad overview and tell the folks who are watching a little bit about Sierra Leone.
Sierra Leone came about as a place for free slaves.
Mm-hmm.
Ones that came from Jamaica. And that's where the capital city was called Freetown.
Freetown.
Yes. And it is a peaceful country that promotes democracy, the rule of law, transparency in government, accountability, and promoting our bilateral relations with the countries to which we are accredited.
Uh-huh.
And most especially, our country has some of the best climate, the best beaches. We have gold, we have all kinds of raw materials that you could think of. And here is the biggest secret that you should all know, the world should know. Sierra Leone had the oldest university in modern times, Forabe College. That university, even today, was the home of many of your nationalist leaders Africa has produced. We do it all. We have raw materials. We have arable land, plenty. Agriculture, when the president came into power, he had three priorities.
Mm-hmm.
One, education. Two, health. And three, agriculture. He says fondly that if you educate somebody, you have to feed the tummy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what his three core objectives in his New Direction agenda.
If we put a map on the screen, just tell us a little bit about the neighborhood and your relationship with the other countries. It's West Africa. Huh?
Yes. Well, I usually say we are sandwiched between Liberia and Guinea. Those are our very close neighbors. And we do also have what they call the Mano River Union, which includes Sierra Leone, Liberia, Guinea, and Ivory Coast. So these four countries, you could actually leave Sierra Leone and go to Guinea the same day by road. And that relationship has endured. So we created the Mano River Union to be able to promote intercontinental trade between the neighboring countries, because there's also this question of neighborliness. There are Sierra Leoneans born in Sierra Leone that have relatives in Guinea. And there are Sierra Leoneans born in Liberia that have relatives in Sierra Leone and Guinea and Liberia. My father was born in Liberia, but we were born in Sierra Leone. So you could just see how these countries are. And again, if you go to the northern side of Sierra Leone, which is close to the Guinea border, you will see the Fullers, the Mandingos, the Susus, who also have relatives in Guinea. So these countries, of course, were created by the the relics of colonialism, but we are hoping that someday, through these interregional collaboration like the Mano River Union, they're able to promote trade and investment between these countries. Because if you look at their religion, we have Christians, we have Muslims, and we have people who don't belong to any of those, but they practice traditional religions.
In Sierra Leone itself, what would the population be?
7.5 million.
7.5 million.
Yes.
And in addition to the countries that you mentioned, the neighboring countries, of course, the ocean, huh?
Right.
How is the ocean? I grew up around the ocean.
Right.
That is a powerful influence on people, isn't it?
Well,
psychologically.
Right. Let me even say this. This is one of the biggest kept secrets of our country. Sierra Leone has the second deepest natural harbor in the world. I want America to listen very carefully. When you look at where we call it the Deepwater Key, that means it is really deep. How would you just imagine if the United States decided to work with our government to creating a port there? Let me give you an example. There was a vessel, an American vessel that was transporting goods from America. And that vessel was like about, by the time they had a problem on the high seas, was 50 miles from where that vessel had a problem to Freetown.
Okay.
Guess what? They had to bring trawlers from the United States to transport that broken vessel thousands of miles. Had you had a port, a repair shop, it's only 50 miles. You could have saved tons of money. And number two, from the standpoint of security, we have, because of the fact that our country produces some of the best shrimps, and piracy is very, very common in our country because we don't have the kind of infrastructure, we don't have the mechanism. So people with other intentions literally steal our fishes. So when you go look at some of the high-price restaurants, shrimps and so forth, they steal them from Sierra Leone.
Ooh.
So that is we call it the blue economy. Once we have a partnership with the United States, one, from the standpoint of security, two, as a blue economy, you don't even have to talk about diamonds and gold. We have those too.
Yes.
But that is something that I really believe United States could work with our government in the development of our blue economy, because that would create opportunities not only for our country, but for this country as well.
Let us hold on that note, Ambassador. Tell the folks at home who are privileged to be listening to the ambassador from Sierra Leone, an education not only about his own country, but about Africa. He's incredibly experienced here in the United States, which you'll learn as we go along. So he knows both sides of the river, so to speak. Sit tight. This is America and the World. This is America and the World is made possible by the Japan-America Society of Washington, D.C., 21st Century Citizenship, the Frank Islam and Debbie Dreisman Foundation, the Republic of Uzbekistan, the Sultanate of Oman, the Kingdom of Morocco, the Forerunner Foundation, the Rotondaro Family Trust, and the Embassy Series, uniting people through musical diplomacy. Ambassador, tell me a little bit about how the government of Sierra, it's a republic, it's a democracy. The president's name is pronounced?
President Dr. Julius Maada.
Maada.
I hear some people call him Bio. He is Bio. Right.
Julius
Maada. Right.
He has an interesting background, doesn't he, in the development of Sierra Leone as a government, as a free government, as a democracy?
Yes. First of all, we have 3 branches of government, just like you have in the United States. Yep. We have the executive, we have the legislative branch, and the judiciary. All of these 3 branches of government are co-equal branches of government that have the independence. The president, as a rule, as a chief executive, does not interfere with the other branches of government. When any legislation is being done, just like they do here, a ministry will present a cabinet paper to the government, to other cabinet ministers, and then they will debate it. And from that emerges a piece of legislation which they will vote, debate it in parliament, and make it. The judiciary is there as the arbiter of justice and as a colorblind society. The rule of law supersedes everybody, and the president has said it repeatedly. Nobody is above the law.
The history, not to get too deep, but if you were to just give us, talk for just a couple of minutes, you run with it, the history is so complex, it would be so difficult for us to. But maybe there are a couple of areas that we should know.
I think it is important for the world to know that Sierra Leone, like any African country, has gone through challenges. We had a bloody civil war, we had cases of Ebola, and then we had COVID. What is important for the world to know about President Dr. Julius Maada was that he was a commissioned officer, young. I think he was about 23 or 24 when they overthrew government. And that was one of the military coups that had widespread support in the nation because of the government that was in power, that literally had a one-party, it was a one-party government. They had libel laws which they weaponized to get, in fact, in those days, you would not be having this kind of discussion in our country. So when he came, he repealed that. that in a democracy, the people have a right to speak, to express themselves freely. And journalists have a right to question those in power to improve the living conditions of them. So when President Maada, as a young officer, was the number 2 person in the government at the time, after they took power, the then chair of that group, Young, decided that he wanted to change the Constitution, lower the age level of the Constitution so that he could stay in power. Maada said, no, we made a commitment. We made a promise to the people that we are going to be ruling for a couple of years, and we have to maintain that commitment. So him and some of the other military officers overthrew his boss. And that's what paved the way for Maada becoming president, and then he handed power to civilian rule. So this is something that people should pay attention to. I don't know very many military coup leaders that take over government without being suppressed or being pressured by the international community to say, this is the commitment that we made, and we're going to hand power over. And that's what he did. So when he handed power over, he decided to remove his uniform to become a civilian. He ran once, he lost. So he came, got an education, went back. And the people rewarded him as president of the Republic of Sierra Leone. Under his rule, under his administration, we have seen, I'm not saying because he appointed me ambassador, I have watched the political landscape in Sierra Leone. I have fought for the country. He is the only president that I know, I can tell you this freely. He loves his country. He has promoted cohesion. He has reached out to the opposition. He has held Bintu Mani 1, Bintu Mani 2 for political reconciliation. He's the first president in Sierra Leone history to announce elections 1 year before elections. That has never happened.
So there's elections on the horizon, huh?
In June, yes.
June.
Yes.
Elections on the horizon. What would you say are the 2 or 3 major issues of this year's election?
Well, let me give you what really is key about any election anywhere in the world, whether it's here or anywhere in Africa, is security.
Okay.
That is a huge challenge. If you all saw, and I'm sure you in the media, you saw about the insurrection that took place in Sierra Leone. If it was anybody else in government, you would have been hearing today, oh, they murdered, they locked up, this. What did the president do? He established a commission, a bipartisan commission, to investigate what some people thought was a peaceful demonstration was not a peaceful demonstration. You don't go to a demonstration with machetes and guns and butchering. 6 police officers were cut, were butchered.
When was this?
About almost a couple of months ago. This was something, as a government, you have the obligation and responsibility to protecting life and property. So that process is still going on.
Security.
security is number one. And I appeal because our development partners, they want to send observers. It's wonderful to send observers. But when you're talking about public safety does not exclude anyone. You as an observer, you deserve that safety. And the people of Sierra Leone deserve the right to go to the polls and choose the candidate of their choice. They cast their ballot and they should go home safely. So that's one of the challenges. So that means it is important to appealing directly to our development partners to work with the government under established laws to making sure that election security, and if I can also use American term, election integrity is protected and guarded. So that means resources have to be given to support that effort. And I had a discussion recently with NDI, the National Democratic Institute. And I said to them, and I'm saying it here for your viewers and audience, Sierra Leone is not Freetown. Freetown is a city within Sierra Leone. A majority of the people live in the outskirts of the country.
More in the rural areas.
The rural areas. Those people, those communities deserve the same protections as those in the city. So I will urge not to forget those people because they are Sierra Leoneans too. And they have a right to participating in a free, transparent, and safe election.
So, would you call Sierra Leone a developing country?
Absolutely.
So, what are some successes? What are some of the challenges?
As you all know, our country hasn't been endowed with natural resources.
Yes.
And we have over 40 American companies currently in Sierra Leone.
Oh.
This is not hearsay. We have over 40 American companies who have made a lot of money in Sierra Leone. These companies that come to our country, there's one simple request that our government, under our distinguished president, has said. There has to be added value to the resources that you take that benefit your corporate shareholders. The people of Sierra Leone also deserve to share in that profit. So it's a question of negotiating. We had a case, if you recall, with a mining company, and that mining company caused a lot of trouble.
Iron, if I recall.
Yes. And that mining company was both an American and British company combined. And that created a tremendous amount of problems. But thankfully so, under the leadership of the president, they sat and they talked and they negotiated. That company today is thriving.
What was at the heart of the trouble?
Well, there were issues of the royalties. You can't forget the fact that you're taking raw materials from a country, and then all of the areas where you're getting millions and millions of dollars The infrastructure is not developed.
Mm-hmm.
There are no schools owned by them. There's no local content. So these were the challenges that had to be worked through. If, I'll give you an example, you could be the CEO of a major corporation doing business in Sierra Leone. May the Lord forbid you get sick and you don't have the medical facilities in that country to take care of you.
For information about This Is America and the World, visit our YouTube channel, This Is America TV, visit our website, thisisamerica.net, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. This Is America and the World is made possible by the Japan-America Society of Washington, D.C., 21st Century Citizenship, the Frank Islam and Debbie Dreisman Foundation, the Republic of Uzbekistan, the Sultanate of Oman, the Kingdom of Morocco, the Forerunner Foundation, the Rotondaro Family Trust, and the Embassy Series, uniting people through musical diplomacy.